Assalamualaikum. Today we will be presenting our group report on mathematics anxiety among students. This study uses statistical methods to analyze the factors contributing to these issues, their relationship, and the possible solutions.
Okay, the first part of our presentation is methodology. The first phase is participants and recruitment procedure. We use a social media which are WhatsApp and Telegram to generate our form towards 50 respondents. This amount that we actually target and 50 respondents finally collected which are from Form 1 to Form 3 high school students from our previous school. So lastly, the data that we get is 22 of the respondents were male and 28 of them were female. And next, the second phase is data collection. Data was collected based on gender, form, and their recent mathematics marks that were asked at the first page of the Google form. Okay, the third phase is data interpretation. We interpret that data we collected is based on dimensions, including 8 questions about appraisal towards external stimulus, 4 questions about arousal, 4 questions about face expression, and 6 questions about action tendency. And the last phase is statistical technique. We conclude that our data collected using Excel and SPSS to conduct the analysis of variance involving one-way ANOVA without replication across 4 dimensions. And we perform post-hoc tests where necessary to identify specific group differences. And after this, we will go through more testing and proving of our data collection.
Alright guys, so next, here is the steps how to identify the interval of anxiety level. So first of all, we need to find the sum for each student using Excel from the data that we have collected before this. Next, we have to find the mean and standard deviation from the sum. The method that we use to find the mean and standard deviation is by using descriptive statistics in data analysis using the Excel. Next, we must to find mean minus standard deviation and mean plus standard deviation. We refer the formula of interval curve to find the anxiety level. So for the low anxiety level, we can searching it by x less than mean minus standard deviation. For medium anxiety level, we can do x in between mean minus standard deviation and mean plus standard deviation. And lastly, for the high anxiety level, we can do x greater than mean plus standard deviation. So the x represents the sum of each students. Alright, so here are the results after we identified the interval of anxiety level. So we have divided into two groups, which is mathematics anxiety for male students and mathematics anxiety for female students. So let's look at the above figure. Okay, so it's shown that the bar for low anxiety is shorter than others because the females experience no anxiety related to mathematics, while the second bar is for medium anxiety is the tallest. It is because the majority of male students experience a medium level of mathematics anxiety and they are not extremely anxious but do feel some level of discomfort regarding mathematics. While the last bar is for high anxiety, this indicates that there is a significant portion of males who experience high mathematics anxiety. So let's look at the below figure. The observations found that the buffalo anxiety is quite short, showing that only a small number of females experience low levels of mathematics anxiety. And then the tallest bar represents the medium anxiety level, because this suggests that medium level of anxiety are common among females when dealing with mathematics. And the last bar is for high anxiety. It has the same height as the bar for low anxiety because the number of females with high anxiety is equal to those with low anxiety.
Okay, in this part, I will explain about the steps to do hypothesis testing. Okay, for step one, we write the hypothesis test, which is state the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. For step two, specify the significant level. In this test, we will use the alpha equal to 0.05. Okay, step 3, we choose a appropriate test based on the number of samples. So since my sample of boys and girls is less than 30, we use the t table. Okay, we use the t table also to find the t critical. Okay, for the step 4, find the t calculated by using this formula. For A is the variance are equal, for B is variance are unequal. So, and the next step is step 5. We compare the t table and t calculated and do the conclusion. Okay, for this part, I will explain about the hypothesis test about comparing boys and girls mean score by using the t-test. First of all, we state the null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So I will explain the result by assuming variance are known but unequal. So the t calculated that we get is negative 0.1041. For t table, we get 2.0129. So for the t table, we put a negative sign to compare the t calculated and the t table. So the result we get is t calculated is greater than t table. This method is also same for assume variance unknown but equal. The t calculated also greater than t table. Both tests is failed to reject the null hypothesis because when we draw the graph, the t calculated is in accepted region, which is the green color, while the t calculated does not fall in the critical regions. And this present the null hypothesis is not rejected.
Next, chi-square. The objective of using chi-square table is to check whether two categorical variables are independent. In this case, we use chi-square test of independence to determine whether gender and mathematics anxiety are independent or not. We already calculate the chi-square calculated and chi-square table. We can conclude that chi-square calculated have higher values than chi-square table. Thus, the null hypothesis was rejected. Therefore, the relationship between gender and mathematics anxiety are dependent. Next, we use chi-square test of independence to determine whether anxiety level and recent mathematics marks are related to each other. Then, we calculate both chi-square table and chi-square calculated. As we can see, chi-square calculated have much higher value than chi-square table. So, we reject the null hypothesis and we can conclude that recent mathematics marks and anxiety level are independent. As a conclusion, we can conclude that chi-square test is not suitable to be used in this case, since we have a small amount of respondent. To make sure we have more accurate calculation, we shall have more than 100 respondents.
Good day, doctor. So today I'm going to present about correlation and regression method that we have used to see the relationship among maths anxiety and maths score. First, we use the correlation method, and next we use the regression method. Okay, what is correlation? Correlation refers to a statistical measure that describes the extent to which two variables are related to each other. It indicates whether an increase or decrease in one variable corresponds to an increase or decrease in another. So first we need to determine the dependent variable y and independent variable x, which are representing math score and maths anxiety respectively. The meaning is the maths anxiety will determine whether the math score is increasing or decreasing. It means the maths anxiety is the leader for the math score. So to use the correlation method, we need to find the Pearson correlation. So before we need to find the Pearson correlation, we need to find the sum of square for x, which represent sxx, and we need to find sum of square for y, which is represent syy, and next we need to find the sum of square for product of xy, which representing x sxy, and then lastly we need to use this three equation, which is sxx, xyy, and sxy to find the Pearson correlation R. So based on our data, we obtain a Pearson correlation negative 0.48, which the negative indicates a negative correlation. It means the higher the maths anxiety, the lower the maths score. So that the maths anxiety and maths score is inversely proportional, which means if maths anxiety increase, maths score decrease. If maths anxiety decrease, the math score will increase. So this is meaning of inversely proportional based on our correlation result. So next we calculate regression. Regression is a statistical method used to model and analyze the relationship between a dependent variable and one or more independent variables. Based on our data, max anxiety is independent variable while max score is dependent variable. So then we calculate the regression equation. So the regression equation that we obtain is 106.987 minus 0.6472x. The gradient is negative, which is indicating the negative regression. So then we can calculate the error and plot a scatter plot graph to see the relationship of the error. So from the calculation that we have done, the scatter plot that we have obtained is a random scatter plot, which refers desired outcome and it suggests that the model fits the data well. It means our result or our data that we have collected is correct, and the last result that we obtain is very very suitable, which is inversely proportional. So as a conclusion, from all the tests that we have conducted, we conclude that maths anxiety and maths score is inversely proportional, which means the higher the maths anxiety, the lower the maths score of students. So that's all from us, doctor. So thank you from our side. Thank you.